Hi, it's Val. Mom and I are here today to share with you the work that'll be going up in the shop for January, what happens to be my art and some of my, I guess we call them vintage Val quilts, along with a bunch of functional art. As you know, I love to make things, so I have lots of bags and towels because I think art should be a part of your entire existence.
And you're so good at that. Every time Val comes in with a bunch of her art, and I start shopping. I think as I look at this art, I see so much complexity. You can see on the left, there are some quilts hanging, and then look at this piece on the right, and look at the depth that she gets in her designs, the layering that she does. I just find it fascinating how she can think through all of that and just print it up. And then I look at some of this art is, 20 years old, some of these pieces, and I look at the complexity of those designs. And I see similar imagery. I see similar flows in her work. And for me, it was a real treat when she brought these pieces in and I could see them again.
Yeah, you'd forgotten some of these, huh, Mom?
I have.
I have a bunch of my block printed canvases up for sale, and they are all 40% off, so that's kind of fun. We have some moths and butterflies, and then as we're just gonna travel through the shop here real quick. There's some other quilts. And then, of course, as I said, I love to make things. So I have a lot of new product in. I have a bunch of towels that, I have my tree of life. I have some strawberries, some bees, some swallows. So we have all sorts of towels to make your kitchen all festive and such. I also have some unique one-of-a-kind zipper pouches like these, which are, I have stacks and stacks of block printed fabric as I love to make it and experiment and play around. And so I took a bunch of them and made them into some one-of-a-kind bags. I also have some amazing new textiles that I picked up when I was in Morocco. The swallow bags there are made from a lovely hand-woven cloth from the mountains, and then the indigo is some indigo fabric that I bought when I was in Aswara, which is down at the beach just outside Marrakesh. And then we have my one lone table runner, which is the only one left from a series I did earlier this month, I think it was, wasn't it, Mom?
It was.
And I have more of these amazing textiles coming from Morocco, and coming soon. We shall see. It takes a while to get here. And then I have some of my other artwork up here. A few of my favorite pieces, my swallows, which
Tell them about this piece in the middle, Val, because I find it very interesting how you were able to create that imagery in the center.
Well, that piece was a hand-dyed piece of indigo that I created that moon in the middle when I was dyeing it, which what's really cool is how some of the dye actually got in there, which creates a lot of depth. And I had this piece for a while and I knew I wanted to create something, but I wasn't sure what. And so that's how it started, was just this idea of a moon and a midnight garden. And so that is where that piece came from. All right.
Well, and this one I find so interesting with the circles in the center and then being duller where everything else comes forward because it's more intense.
Yeah, layering of these inks is always fascinating to me. To get some of these intense colors in this one, I actually mixed some fluorescent block printing ink, which really isn't the best for textiles if you're gonna wash it. This will never be washed, so I experiment and add that in, but that is how they get so intense, these colors, which I think is really cool because you can start playing around with layering within the more, you know, this is like a silver, and then behind it you can see there's other colors behind it and how it mutes it out, and then you layer the intense on top of it. It's such a fun thing to do for me, to experiment with those colors and have successes and failures along the way.
It's also kind of magical when I think about you as a printmaker in the early days, and I see how you've developed and experimented and taken your craft to something that is just true art.
Aw, thanks, Mom.
Well, I'm impressed.
Okay, let's look at some quilts here. I have a few pieces here that are ones that I did years ago that actually, speaking of my early days in block printing, this is actually a block printed piece that then I machine stitched and did some machine piecing. And then this one here was a screen printed piece of fabric that I did a whole bunch of hand embroidery on, and then some painting and stitching.
Well, and again, just the variety of colors in that piece is fascinating, and putting it on the orange, I think, just made the day. You know, there's something about that orange that really works with that piece. And I remember this one many, many, many years ago. In the early years when Val was designing, she did batiks. And I remember she was still living above the garage at our house because she'd just come back from North Carolina. And she started making this, and I thought, oh my gosh, she's so brave, you know, doing something this scale. And it sure showcased the fabric.
That had to have been early 2000s.
Yeah, it was. And I still have, it's a good thing I bought lots of that fabric because I'm still using it.
Yes, you do still use it. I have none of it left.
Well, and these greens in here, and because I use greens so much, it just worked because you see warms and cool greens, you know, both all mixed together, just like it is in nature. And yeah, that's one of my favorite pieces. Well, and these next ones I had completely forgotten about. And I have to say that it was 2013, I think.
That's when this series was made, yes.
Yeah, when Val created this series of fabrics, and they were so contemporary compared to what we were seeing people doing. And I mean, I was just blown away. And I think what's interesting is how in the design work, she doesn't necessarily complete the patterning always. You see it broken apart, and you'll see it again in the next one. And I think that's part of the magic of these designs. And I kind of think you should do a pattern of that.
Well, I probably did.
I
probably did. It was years ago. These were all from the Blueprint Basics.
And this one, I think, really works well. There's enough of the star that it brings you in to want to take a look at the patterning on the prints. And I thought that was kind of magical.
I had fun quilting this one, obviously.
This is when Val did all of her quilting on her domestic machine?
No, I did this on the long arm.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Okay.
I did. These were all done on the long arm. Freehand. I don't know how to use it any other way but to draw with the long arm.
Well, obviously it works for you. When you look in the center here where, you know, the imagery of the flower appears over and over, I mean, it's really great.
So, this is some of my, or I should say these are some of my quilts and my art that is up.
This
Oh,
array
yes, Mom.
is one of my favorites.
Thank you.
And someone in the store yesterday said, well, how did you think to use white with all those colors? And I thought,
It was the only answer at the time.
that's what I thought. And I thought to myself, well, what else would you have used, you know, in order to showcase all of those primary light colors? The white just seemed to be perfect choice.
Yes, and back then I did like to use a lot of white. Although now, I'm like, why did I do that? Because white gets dirty so easy. Anyway, well, we will be saying goodbye now and to have happy holidays. If you're in town on Friday, come on by the shop. We'd love to see you.
4 to 6.
Oh, from 4 to 6. We'd love to see you. And if not, have a happy holiday and a wonderful new year, and we'll see you soon. Bye.